Hi guys, I'm Irene. This is Perpetually Paperback, and today I'm talking about my most disappointing books of 2020. So, I really started out 2020 with so many high hopes. I feel like everyone did. And then, since it went, it's super fitting that I'm doing this video because all of these books were such duds for me. So, the first book is Beach Read. I don't even remember who this is by. I'll put the details in the description below. But this one was super popular on BookTube. I've heard so much about it. And I think at the time I was looking for a romance that was going to be kind of light and fluffy and fun. This book had a really, really annoying character. She was going through a lot of stuff, so it really didn't feel like it's a character who ends up whose dad dies and he leaves her a house, and she ends up going to live there. She finds out stuff about his life, so she's, dealing with all of that as she's kind of falling in love with this dude who she went to school with that they have a weird relationship with. Anyway, point being, there was a whole lot going on, which you would think would make it more interesting, but I was looking for a romance, and the romance element just, I don't know, it felt a little bit forced and a little bit weird to me, and just, she was so whiny, it was just so annoying. This one wasn't great. I gave it 3 stars because it was like mediocre, but it for me kind of fell a little bit flat. Not my favorite. So after that, I've got the Jane Austen Society. This one was disappointing, but I think this one was probably my fault. I don't really know what I actually anticipated or was expecting about this one, or with this one, but what I got was not what I expected, and what I got I didn't like. It was just kind of boring and slow, and I mean, it was fine, but I didn't enjoy it. There was a lot of characters, and it was just slow. They were essentially, the whole book is, I don't know why it just didn't read this way to me, but I mean, it did read this way. It just, I don't know what didn't transpire about what this book was supposed to be about and what I thought it was about, but it was essentially all these people putting together a Jane Austen society in this town in London, or in England, and that's it. That's the plot of the book. It was fine if you like that. I just found it really slow. I didn't find that they gave you enough time with any of the characters to really be able to make any connections, and it just didn't do it for me. All right, so after that, so I have had a huge struggle with thrillers this year. So please, 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 any and all thriller recommendations, please leave them in the comments below because I am looking for some good ones. I feel like everything I read this year or that I tried was just ugh. So anyway, first one is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. And this is one that I've heard so many people talk about Ruth Ware, that she has so many books. So I'm like, okay, well, let me check one of hers out. I think this one, I got it through Scribd, and I heard good things about it. I heard really good things about it. One of my friends gave me the book to read. I hated it. I think there's a common theme with all the ones I really dislike. I dislike whiny main characters. I have never read a book where I, wished ill on the main character. I was just at the point where I was like, if this person dies, I wouldn't necessarily be mad about it in this thriller. Like, if we're reading this retroactively and finding out that this main character isn't alive later, I don't know that I'd hate that. It was like, I've never read a book where I just wanted the main character to succeed so little, and that's like the whole point. It was also just, there were so many elements that I found just a little bit too fantastical, if you will, for my taste. I don't know. I didn't find it to be a particularly great thriller. It was, again, mediocre, just kind of a big disappointment. So, The Woman in Cabin 10. I don't know. I've heard maybe I'll read The Turn of the Key. I've heard really good things about The Turn of the Key, but I've also heard really good things about this one, and it was kind of terrible, so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I haven't heard anything good about the newest one that she came out with, so I don't know where I'm going with this author. I probably, I think if the book comes up on Scribd and I'm kind of feeling like I just want to get through something, maybe I'll tackle something like that, but I don't know. I don't know if it's worth my time. We'll see. Anyway. So another one that I felt kind of just was, this one wasn't as bad as any of the others I've had on this list, I think, but it was Riley Sager's Home Before Dark. It was one of my Book of the Month selections, and everyone is actually getting on to me about this one because I don't think I rated it very well. I think I gave it like 3 or 4 stars, but ultimately in general, I was super loving the beginning, thought it kind of faltered up in the middle, and towards the end I was just like, I don't even care what's happening. I just want to find out who is doing the thing. So like, yes, in a thriller aspect, I didn't guess the ending. I thought the ending was kind of interesting. So if that is the way that you mark your thriller, then there you go. Read this one, you'll enjoy it. I found it a little bit lackluster towards the end. Is it something I'm gonna remember? Honestly, probably not. It also was told in 2 parts too, so you get the perspective of one of the characters, who is this girl that's going back to this house, who her father wrote a book about, and it's basically shaped her whole life, where she believes, it's kind of a question of like, am I crazy, or like, what really happened in this house when I was younger? But one of the stories is much more interesting than the other story, so about half of the book you figure is just a red herring, and it was okay. I didn't love it. A little bit lackluster. Will I remember it? I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. So this last one, I don't actually know if I've talked about this one, but wow, this was my biggest disappointment of the year. I heard so many people say so many good things about this one, and I guess I hadn't really heard much of the bad. Now I have. It is The Lies of Lamora by Scott Lynch. I literally went out and bought this one. I ordered it. I was so excited to read it. I thought it was going to be one of my favorite books of the year. I absolutely hated it. I didn't like any of the characters really. I don't know how people called it a book about a group really, because I felt like it basically just followed Locke it really just, in some ways I liked the non-linear aspects, but one of my issues with it was I felt like the action was cut at the most interesting part. So at the point where you're expecting like a fight scene to happen, it cuts to something else. And it's like, it leaves you like at every turn, and I'm not describing that emotion well, but that's essentially how I felt about the whole book, where it was just like, honestly, towards the end, I didn't even care what happened. I didn't care. I felt like, it just wasn't interesting. It was like not quite fantastical enough for me. It just kind of felt like it was set in a sort of Renaissance type Italy scene, so it felt more historical than fantastical, and it honestly just felt like a heist book set in a moderately fantastical realm that really wasn't particularly interesting to me. Honestly, at the end of the day, it was just boring. Like, it was just boring. So yeah, that is my list of stuff that I was really just not happy with. I expected all of these books to be much, much better, and some of them I think were probably my fault. Some of them I don't know that any of these books, I don't know, I think they were all just mediocre. I'm sure some people really loved them. I found them all to be kind of mediocre. Let me know if you read any of these books and kind of had the same sort of feelings as me. I would love to talk to anyone about it, because I've heard so many good things about a lot of the ones on this list that I'm just like, I don't know. Sometimes I just wonder if I'm like how I read in comparison to everyone else. But anyway, so if you liked this video, I've got a couple more coming. Check out my best and worst and most satisfying or surprising books of the year. All right, I'll see you guys next time.